Hello, everybody, and good evening, one and all. I hope everybody is very well today. So, I'm hoping we can just hit the ground running with this one. This is a stream that I set up yesterday, was going to live stream. My internet fell down just with absolutely no warning. It didn't work until late in the evening. But I just figured out it wasn't going to come back on, so I rescheduled it for today, and here we are. So yeah, shout out to all of you in the chat. How you doing? For DV, good to have you. Joy, lovely to see you all. And we are revisiting the topic of South Africa, but we're going to do it through the lens of I say the one, that would be unfair. I was going to say the one South African who I really respect and love, but that's historically as well. That's not a new thing. I've always had a great affection towards brother president. I like to call him President Julius Malema. I like to speak in prophecies. So I've got a lot of respect for Malema. I think he's someone who actually has increased in terms of my regard that I've held for him. He just increases year on year. Ironically, back in the days of the ANC youth, I even used to think that maybe he's a bit too much, you know. And this is me obviously just kind of embracing the politics of Mbeki. I liked it, and even he just seemed like he was a bit too rough and a bit too rugged and a bit too loud, you know. So maybe I wasn't that helpful. Well, that was a long time ago now, but as times increased, as times expanded, and I feel like he's matured, but he hasn't compromised, he hasn't changed. So me saying he's matured is not saying that he's changed. I've matured to his perspectives, but also he's matured in terms of how to communicate and to navigate this realm that he finds himself in. And he's the only person who, in my view, has managed to maintain a very clear vision, a goal of what he wants to carry out, has a very clear set of policies in regards to how he would execute change in South Africa. He's not just like a lot of South African governance who, you know, manage to achieve leadership or manage to achieve positions of authority, and then they're like deer in headlight. They have no idea how to deconstruct because they have no intention really on upsetting the apple cart. They're just hoping that being a black face in a certain position is good enough, and they don't advance anything. Whereas I feel Malema's approach is the one that South Africa has always needed. You know, so God willing, when he does become president, because he will be president, that he doesn't disappoint us all. I don't think he will, though. So I'd like to look at the entire situation in South Africa right now. So for those of you who don't know, I think most of you who will be on this live stream right now, the nearly 20 of you that are on this live stream now will know that at the moment, South Africa is going through a bit of a reckoning in regards to the attacks that are taking place. They don't like it called xenophobia, so we call it afrophobia. They don't like it being called afrophobia. You know, many of the South Africans want to project this idea of normality in terms of the behavior and the acts that they are undertaking in the nation currently, in terms of attacking Africans, unaliving sometimes, persecuting, sometimes legitimately, but oftentimes, in my perspective, totally and unforgivably not having any kind of credence to the attacks that they're doing other than self-hate. And my view is, and as I continue to, consume the different, I don't take media from one place, I take from lots of different places. As I continue to consume the entire environment, the entire atmosphere of what's taking place in South Africa, every day I'm becoming more and more convinced of the miseducation, the disinformation, the lack of knowledge, and the overriding self-hate that is driving the entire movement. That's what's driving it. It's not, it's, you know, they say, you know, you've heard the saying, a broken clock is right twice a day. So that's not to say there are not some legitimate outputs and there are not some legitimate drivers towards the actions that are taking place currently in South Africa. But the overriding issue that we have is that what Black South Africans are doing to their fellow Africans is broken. It's an act of, and I've used the word scapegoating, I'm going to continue to use that word. It's an act of scapegoating. It's an act of disrespect. And it's an act, to be clear, that has historical legacy. So this isn't new. A lot of people have made the claim that even my coverage of this topic is me, you know, clout chasing or jumping on a hot topic, and it isn't. Okay, I've covered this topic historically, and in fact, I've been very consistent with this message. In fact, even before we start, I want to share just a quick excerpt from a live stream. So there's, I think, 25 or so of you online at the moment. Just click one if this plays for you, because I did want to play a clip from a live stream I did some time ago, just to show you guys that my perspective on South Africa has not changed. Okay. Let me just find my timestamp. Excuse me. Okay, 107. So this is a live stream I did on my other channel, The King's Monologue, and you're going to hear me speaking soon, okay, about my views on South Africa. So this live stream I did 11 months ago. You can see the date down there. If you can't see, it says 11 months ago. So nearly a year ago now. Nearly an entire year ago now, I did this live stream, and I want to share with you my perspectives, okay? So let me quickly click play on this and hit the one once you hear it playing, okay, guys? Oh, you're not going to be able to hear that because it's muted, so I'm going to bring that back. Okay. Let me bring it back now. And please hit it's not even start playing in about 2 seconds. Was up in the 1 or 2, 80th percent. 1 if it's playing, 2 if you can't hear it. And how it was before. And if it's down to 70, that means some of the land has been sold, but it's I want to say it's not enough, but it's not even just about the fact that the land hasn't been given back. Thank you very much, guys, or 4DV and Mr. Too Earnest for letting me know that the audio is working. So let's let it play now, and I want you to listen carefully to what I say here. It's the general, unrepentant, and continually disruptive attitude of that kind of like settler population. I've got so many issues with South Africa historically. One of them being that you guys know I'm Nigerian, and one of the things about Nigerians, we're not welcome in South Africa. I'm not going to say this with a massive generalistic swab, but I can tell you it's relatively true. And I can tell you of friends that I know who have been there and family. And when you mention you're Nigerian, you get a different level of service. And a lot of people don't know that this can be traced back to the media, where there's been a very, I'm not sure if many of you remember the xenophobic attacks that took place in South Africa about a decade ago, maybe more, maybe a couple of decades. I think it was about 2 decades ago, actually. It was a long time ago. But there was these xenophobic attacks, that's what they called them, with South Africans attacking other Africans, mostly Nigerians, I think. But they were attacking loads of other African, anyone who wasn't African. A really stupid thing to do. And I also suspect massively inflated by the media when it was taking place. But that was the the result, the apex of a very long campaign by the white-owned South African media vilifying other Africans. So I go on there and I do speak in a bit of detail about how essentially the white-owned media had been placing Nigerians as roles of villains in really large budget movies. So there was, I think there was a couple that I can think of. One called District 9, where they made the Nigerians totally irredeemable villains. And there was another one where they made them villains as well. And there was even one called like a robot one called something Johnny or something. I'm sure they had some Nigerian villains in that as well. So there was this period of time when South Africa was actually putting out movies that were being seen globally, and they would always cast Nigerians as villains. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, oh, let me show you something that's really funny as well. I was watching this back, and look who's in my comments. You guys probably can't see that, but this is Carl Dojo. This is the guy who I debated the other day, the South African guy. So he's around. He's not, he was on this live stream a year ago. So he's heard me talk about this subject. He knows that I'm not new to the subject either, which is hilarious. But it shows there's a little bit of legacy there. But yeah, I'm not going to go into it. And I'm not even going to go on about the Nigerian contribution and the Nigerian crime in South Africa, whether or not it's legitimate Nigerians, stay or leave, because I have mixed feelings, which we're going to, talk about, I'm sure, as the day or as the live stream progresses. But I just wanted to show you guys, by showing you that year-old video, that this is not me jumping on a hype train. Okay, and bear in mind, on this channel, I've said this before, on this channel, King's Monologue, I only talk about history. This is probably one of the only times that I will venture outside of history and go into politics. And I chose a discussion about South Africa, Trump, and the fake white genocide, because it's very close to my heart. Apartheid is something that's very close to my heart. It's a movement that I felt very involved in, and the liberation of Black South Africans has always been very, very real for me. It's not something that I'm not faking this at all. It's the only reason I know about historical South African politics is because it's been very close to my heart, always has been. And I feel like, just like, it's weird because not all Black people have this outlook. And you're going to see in the video that I'm going to show you today that some Black people are very hateful. Some Black people hate other Black people because they hate themselves. Like, they have a violent hatred towards other Black people, whereas I am the exact opposite. I see a Black child, and that child is my son, that child is my daughter. That's literally how my brain operates. My brain can't not operate that way. And that's just the way that I'm wired. So it becomes it's a hard thing to pathologize when something like this is happening in South Africa, where you can see people are clearly being racist. And by the way, Black South Africans who support this, you are racist. I have to say this to you, you're racist, and you're not, it's not unique, by the way. Loads of Black people are racist. I'm talking about racist against Black people. You're racist against your own. Yeah, you see less value in the life of your own. And this is one of the hardest things that I find to pathologize. And this is probably why I find myself revisiting this topic. Shout out to you, Fruits Are Life. I appreciate those words, and right back at you, 100%. Okay, so anyway, I want to start and I want to get into the words of Malema, because I feel like as a South African, but not only a South African, as a South African who has both of his eyes wide open, who understands exactly what the economic, what the historical, what the social, what the military, and what the revolutionary situation in South Africa is. He is incredibly qualified to speak on this matter in a balanced manner. So I'm going to start by going, first of all, the first video I'm going to share you from President Malema, and I'm going to keep calling him that, so you have to just deal with it, is this one. And this one's old. This one's like 6 years old. But this one, he tackles the subject, obviously, because this is a legacy topic when it comes to South Africa, this idea of them having an issue with other Black Africans. But listen to his words Very, very powerful speech. Go let it play.
You call them foreigners. What is the definition of a foreigner? A foreigner is a person who comes into your country without papers, doesn't have anything to show. That includes you. You are foreigners because you have nothing to show. You go around claiming this is your country. Let's go outside, show me papers that confirms you are the owner of this country. There's nothing. You don't own anything, yet you call people foreigners. You are a foreigner yourself because you do not own.
Very, very black and white message he's pushing. I mean, very simple to understand there. You're going after people, but essentially you're going after yourself. These people own as much of South Africa as you do. So the issue here is not, oh, this person's from this part of Africa, this person's that part of Africa. The issue is neither you nor this person you're calling a foreigner own anything. And until you rectify that, you going after the other person who owns nothing is absolutely ridiculous. You know who you need to be going after, and you're avoiding that. That's one of the main issues that you're dealing with here.
Foreigners means visitors. Visitors are people who just come empty-handed with a small bag. When the time permits, they go. That's you. You are renting. You are marching from the hostels, beating up people that they must leave South Africa. Yet you do not own a hostel. You are paying a rent in that hostel. You can be removed yourself from that hostel. You are telling people to leave your country. You come from an apartment. You come from a flat. You come from a house. You have no paper. When you return back home after taking out Zimbabweans, the white man will be at the door showing you the way out of the rented flat, out of the rented house, out of the rented apartment. You have.
And I'm just gonna just touch on there as well. But I'm very aware, you know, it's I think what's been valuable actually is to come to an understanding of the different prejudices that South Africans have towards the different types of Africans. So that's one of the things that's been able to paint very clear. You'll remember on the live stream that I did with Carl, he was able to break down that, oh no, we're okay with these Africans and Africans from here and here, but we don't like Africans from here, 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 and here. And one of the things that I've started to pick up on is a bit of a pattern. Okay. When I've started to pick up on a bit of a pattern, I kind of am beginning to understand not only who they dislike, but why they dislike them. And it's not always the black and white reason that you think. So for instance, one of the reasons undoubtedly that they dislike Nigerians is because Nigerians are involved in some of the, they always seem to be, they are involved in the criminal networks. Okay. And I'm not going to give them a pass for that. They absolutely are involved. But that goes hand in hand with Nigerian industriousness. So it's not like all Nigerians are doing it. There's only a few, but the few that go there, and this is reported by the prison stats, is supported by the prison stats. It's not like Nigerians don't make a high proportion of the prison population in South Africa. It's a very small proportion, okay? And it's not because they're, you know, they're immune to prosecution, okay? So get that idea out of your mind. But the issue is that there's a degree of drive and industriousness that comes from that nation. So if you get, you know, 1,000, you know, immigrants or from Nigeria into South Africa, they're all going to have very high ambitions. Many of them are going to pursue those high ambitions in a legal way. That's the vast majority are. But the few that do it in an illegal way, that do it in a harmful way, are going to also be successful in their endeavors. So you'll find them at the top of the legal and the business endeavors, but you'll also find them at the top of the criminal endeavors. And the imprint of this is that, and this is a reality, and I'm not saying this to kind of like, you know, toot my own horn because I'm British, really. I don't really have the same swagger as a person who was born in Nigeria. We have completely different kind of like swagger. But the issue is that I happen to know that Nigerians are also very popular. And you know what I mean when I say that, okay? They're very popular. And the South African men really don't like that. Okay, so vilifying them becomes very easy as well, because there's already that underlying tone of jealousy. Okay, and let me make something clear. You'll find there, for all of these nations, where they have a problem. We have a problem with this population. We don't like these because they are troublemakers. This, that, and the other. There's always a mirror in reason as to why they don't like that population that they're not telling you. Somewhere seated in some kind of jealousy and self-hate. I'm telling you, it's a thing. I'm beginning to pick up on it more and more, even in the population. I always knew that was the case of Nigerians, but I'm also picking up with this outside of the Nigerian populations and some of the other populations. Like, I've touched on the reason why they don't like Zimbabweans either, but we'll get onto that shortly.
I have nothing to show, yet you claim this.
Thank you, Joy. I know I've got swagger. I said we got a different swagger. I haven't got the Nigerian swagger. I've got my swagger's you know, my swaggers are different. I got a UK swagger, you know, but it's a different. The point I was making is that it's a different swagger. But I appreciate you, Dre.
This is your country. You have nothing. You are defending a white man's property. This South Africa is owned by a white man. This South Africa is controlled by the white man. Don't tell me this is your country. When people are burning buildings, you are rushing, protecting them. Those are not your buildings. Those are white man's buildings. You have nothing. Stop hating on your future employers. These people are going to hire you. They are the most polite people. Even when they are educated, they still work for small jobs that pay nothing. They don't have pride. They know that you have to work to serve and feed your families. That's why they are here. One day, like it almost happened in Cuba when Obama wanted to leave the...
By the way, that bar that he just dropped there must have hurt hard. Must have hurt hard, because it does speak to a degree, you know, one of the subjects that I'm not sure if I'm going to touch on today, but something that I feel like a lot of South Africans also have to embrace. And that is, for all of the, you know, different attributes I've spoken about in different populations, there seems to be a distinct lack of this drive sometimes within the South African, I'd say a lot of the time within the South African population. And yeah, like I've touched on the kind of the gap in upward mobility, which is why attacking foreigners or other Africans who are showing that upward mobility, showing that drive, showing that desire to build and sustain businesses, it's just easier to attack. It's much easier to attack than to do some self-examination and to do the hard work and the graft and the building, which is why it's really funny when I'm going to come on to, you know, actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it today, but there's a woman called Victoria Africa, who you guys have probably seen. He's one of the people who works in these, I'm going to call them fascist political parties, because they are fascists. One of these women who work in these black South African, not even black, because they got whites in there shouting racial slurs at black Africans, and they're okay with it. They have colored people shouting racial slurs at black Africans, and they're okay with it. These people are totally okay. As long as you say you're South African, they're okay with the colonizer class. They're okay with the white class. They're okay with the Boer class. They're okay with the colored class. Anyone, as long as you've got a South African accent, they're going to say you can call a black African whatever you like. But anyway, so this woman, Victoria Africa, you know, and they speak about building. Oh, you can go back to your nation, go and build your nation. We are building South Africa. And then you go, okay, what are you building? I'm sorry, what exactly have you built? I've seen you do a lot of chasing. Yeah, I've seen you do a lot of violence. I've seen you do a lot of degrading. I've seen you kick people out of hospitals. I've seen you occupy people's businesses. I've seen you at the front, at the forefront of looting, etc., etc. But I haven't seen you build anything. I haven't seen you build anything. What have you built? What has been you've kicked these people out, but what has been the actual end benefit of this? Okay, you've just you just watch you just put a big chain over the front of their shop and a padlock on the front of it, and now the place that used to maybe employ a couple of people and serve the community. And by the way, I'm not here kind of caping, because if people are there and they're building business illegally and they're trying to run rackets, I'm not supporting that. But the bottom line is that doesn't then qualify what you're doing as building. I haven't seen, these people haven't shown me what they've built yet. It would be nice, because you always get the people in the comments, the South Africans, who are always coming to their defense. Oh no, it's good what they need to do. The people need to leave. It's kind of like, okay, but what are you building as a result of this? What on earth are you building? What did you build? Where is it? Where's the new businesses? Where's the flourishing towns? Where's even the flourishing street? Or what have you built as a result of xenophobically or afrophobically driving out your African neighbors? Where is it? Because I'm just interested to see, because they seem to really be galvanized. They seem to really be propped up by hate. Oh, it's not just us in Kenya. They are doing the same. Oh, and the FBAs, they are doing the same. And everybody across the world, they are chasing out the Nigerians. Like, okay, cool. Everyone's chasing out Nigerians. What have you built? What have you built? What did you gain? What improved? We are doing this, we are doing that. What did you build? What do you now own as a result of doing that? Have you increased Black land ownership by 1 acre since this entire movement started? Do you have 10 more hectares of arable land since you started killing and driving out other Black Africans? I mean, we all know the answer to this question. And yet this is your biggest issue. You haven't realized after 20 years that this is just a distraction so that the colonizer class can just get more and more ingrained, more and more comfortable in your nation. 34 years on from the ending of apartheid, and right now they have ground themselves into the foundation of your nation. You know how hard it's going to be to reappropriate that land now, while you guys are running around like headless chickens looking for Africans to expel.
Embargo against Cuba, one day it is going to happen. I pray to the ancestors of the revolution that it happens when I'm still alive, so that I can replay these videos and say, I warned you about harassing your future employers. I warned you about exploiting the people who are going to share their land with you, because they've done it before. Why didn't Mugabe take the land immediately? He waited for you to get your freedom. Because had Mugabe take the land immediately, it would have caused a serious problem to a point where South Africa will not be liberated. They were a frontline state. They gave us a passage. They accommodated us. We stayed in their homes. They gave us food.
See, that is deep. That is deep. That's a new, I watched this before and that went over my head there. He said that Mugabe waited to start the land reform. So you guys will remember the land reform started in 1998, and Mugabe only waited until 1998 because he was waiting for essentially the full completion of the ending of apartheid and the full transfer of governance and power to the Black South Africans before he did his land reforms. That's deep. That's deep. If South Africans if South Africans knew how tied they were to Zimbabwe and how tied the the legacies and the destinations of these two nations are, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing today. Historical literacy is so important. It's so important. What is happening in the South African education system, that people are going through the schooling system, and there's no way they're being educated correctly about apartheid in South Africa. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming out the other end doing this. It sounds like the Boer education system is the one that's being taught. The idea that the Bantus and the whites came at the same time. The Bantus and the whites came at the same time. This is the white version of history, the Boer version of history. Once upon a time, there was a land called Africa, and the only people there were the pygmy people. Okay, they don't have the respect to call them the Quenya people or by any of their actual names, but they call them the pygmy people. Okay, and then out of nowhere, the whites came by boat and the Bantus came by land, and they both arrived at the same time. A huge war was fought, and during that war, the Bantus killed loads and loads of the Quenya people who the whites tried to defend. The whites won that war, and that was the start of apartheid. That's the white version of history. Okay, that's what they're teaching. And I guarantee you, there's many black people who have bought into that ridiculous crackpot version of history. Many black people who don't know that the integration between the Nguni people in the South and the Quenya people, okay, the short-statured people, you know, the ethnic group there, goes back. They've cohabited for thousands of years, literally thousands of years. They're the only people, literally, in the entire landmass of the earth to have incorporated click dialect. That's how intertwined they are. They speak the same. Okay, and if you look very, very closely, they share a phenotype. Okay, lots of people and Quenya people, they and Zulu, they all look the same. They have that, just had that South African look. Okay, you can tell these people have been around each other for their genetics are completely integrated, totally overlap. And they've allowed these foreigners to come and teach them some wild version of history, these colonizers to come and to poison their textbooks. It's really sad.
They gave us shelter. They never called us names. Today, it's our turn to say thank you. We become animals. It is not the spirit of Ubuntu, what you are doing to these comrades of Zimbabwe. Comrades, the white people, the way they control us, we love them and we say they give us jobs. But the way they've made us to hate each other, even if a Nigerian was to come here and create 100,000 jobs, you will still beat that Nigerian because you want 100,000 jobs provided by a white man. When it is a job.
Facts. I have to give that a round of applause. Facts. They love a job when it's being provided by their colonizer. They are so polite when it comes to the brown illegal immigrants. They could turn up, and it's funny because of that movement, that reality, whatever channel with that Victoria Africa, that what they called PA. I think that the political party is called PA. Is it Progressive Alliance or something like? Someone correct me. I'll bring up in a minute the video. But that the Ndulu people who are doing a lot of these attacks on people. Yeah, Ndudulu. I can't remember. Yeah, but anyway, you'll see it. You'll see it'll come up in a minute. Those people who are conducting and who are carrying out these attacks on Africans, okay, they are so polite. It's not DA. DA is Democratic Alliance. It's not DA. There's a specific party that's doing the who are actually doing the Afrophobic attacks. So it's not DA. DA is the second most powerful political party after they're the ones that all the whites vote for after the ANC. So it's ANC, then Democratic Alliance, and then the EFF. But it's not them. There's a specific party that's they're not a party, but they want to be seen as a party. They wear green and white, and they're responsible for all of these kind of like, well, for coordinating a lot of these Afrophobic kind of like movement across South Africa at the moment. When they're doing their xenophobic movement against a Asian, someone who's brown, someone who's not black, oh my God, these people are so polite. They're speaking with the Queen's English. They're staying 3 feet of distance away. They're not putting any fingers in the face. They're just, listen, you have to, where's your license? I don't have a license that day. Well, maybe I get one tomorrow. Listen, my friend, you have to, you can't do the please. Just that I told you I'll get it. Can you just get out of my shop, please? Listen, we are being very nice to you. Okay, we are being very nice to you. You just can't come and treat her. If that was an African, they would be knocking them over their head with a stick, beating them down, put tires on them, set them on fire. That's what they'll do if it was a black African. The moment it's an Indian, these people are, oh no. Pathetic. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it might be Patriotic Alliance. Thank you, No Face. I think that's it. It's definitely PA, so you've probably heard of them. So they're the ones who are responsible for that. Yeah, let's carry on.
Provided by a black man is not a job enough. They've instilled in you a culture of self-hate. You lack confidence in black people because you are not confident yourself. So it is not correct that all Nigerians are drug dealers. They are Nigerian drug dealers.
Carl Dojo, shout out to you there. That was he was saying that to you. I know. By the way, Carl, I if you're listening, I know that's not what you said. You didn't say that. But this is the issue. Remember what I was talking about earlier. So even if you do find a position, if you do find yourself in a situation where there are a lot of Nigerians involved in organized crimes, don't be surprised, because that's just a part of ambition. Doesn't mean Nigerians are bad. It just means Nigerians are ambitious. So like I said, it could be a vast, tiny minority who are actually doing that, but they're always finding themselves in those positions. But they're in the same way, you'll probably find Nigerians disproportionately represented in jobs like doctors and business owners and other positions that are quite elevated, that are totally legal and totally needed and totally necessary in your nation. It's just goes hand in hand with the ambition of the people, if that kind of makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So this is I feel like Malema's saying it with a bit more clearly than I am.
Dealers. We must find them. We must deal with them decisively. We must isolate them. We must isolate them and teach them a lesson which they will never forget, so that they don't leave South Africa to go and try it somewhere else, particularly in the African continent. We do not dispute that they are drug lords.
So there you go. And he said he doesn't dispute that you'll find them as drug lords. And I'm not disputing that either. I'm not here, like I said, caping for the Nigerian population. They can look after themselves. It's just, I think it goes hand in hand with the mindset. And yeah. Now, that was from 6 years ago. I thought that was a really good speech and very relevant today. I don't think there's anything he said there that sounded in any way, shape or form dated. Unfortunately, it would have been great to listen to that speech and to talk now about how much progress Black South Africans have made since that, since he did that speech. But I don't know, maybe you have made a lot of progress. I'd like to hear from some Black South Africans, but I feel like probably not enough, and definitely not in the region of ownership, which is one of the key things he was speaking about. This next one is more recent. This is this is posted up yesterday. Okay, so this is Malema's explosive speech on xenophobia. Okay, in South Africa shakes the world. So this is new, this is fresh off the presses. And once again, I just feel like Malema's hit out of the park. So I guess without too much delay, let's listen to this latest speech.
They are scared of white people. Look at them. When they speak to a white person, they are very respectful. They show manners. When they speak to a black person, they are violent. But let's ask a question. After you marched and say you don't want Zimbabweans, you don't want Nigerians, you don't want Ghanaians, you close shops, you march. Why are you not coming back to tell us the following day that after that march, we expelled 10 Zimbabweans, and out of those 10 Zimbabweans, we're able to give 10 South Africans jobs? There is no such a report. Why? Because Laukaba Kuba ma Zimbabwe.
Very quickly, exactly the point I was making earlier. The point about what are you building? The people who you're expelling, what are you replacing them with? What are you doing to drive ownership? What are you actually building? Because you can't go around committing xenophobia, or let's drop the buzzword. You can't go around pretending that you're immigration enforcement, but only restricting it to Black Africans and nobody else. Being violent, vile, hateful towards Africans of all caste, even those that carry huge amounts of South African blood, because you'll see they're even kind of employing a white supremacist mentality. Some people, when I show you some of the further footage I'm going to show you. So you can't do all of that, yeah? And then at the end of it, you have nothing to show for it. And then claim that you're building. The claim is, hey, we're building. We're building something. You go and build your nation. We're building this nation. But you're building nothing. You're in exactly the same position afterwards. You just feel a little bit better because he's got a bit less. And we talked about it earlier. That is like literally the definition of crabs in a barrel syndrome. Okay, you don't have any more. You haven't gained anything from taking away from somebody else. You've gained zero. And if anything, you've probably hurt your local economy more than anything. And this is the issue.
Hauna misebetsi batho ba le ba ma Zimbabwe ba etsa mesebetsi e lona le sa batleng ho etsa because those are slaves jobs. They don't pay anything. You want proper jobs. You want a job with a pay slip, with an appointment letter, with pension, with medical aid, and you deserve it. But why are we fighting each other? It is the same people who made us fight each other during apartheid, black on black violence. They sponsored it. The same provinces where blacks were killing blacks during apartheid, sponsored by apartheid government, is the same provinces where blacks are beating blacks today.
And that's so sad. Okay, we're having a repeat of history, and he breaks down some really important history here about how the apartheid government sponsored violence between two of the major black political parties historically. Okay, and it's exactly what they're doing now. So a lot of this is sponsored, and I stayed on the fence until at least I felt like I'd gathered enough data to be able to speak on it. But now that I've witnessed it quite a few times, I can say with confidence that each of these Afrophobic factions have got a healthy injection of non-black South Africans just driving that hatred forward, just making sure that they carry it out, and probably they're very gently tempering any sentiment towards let's go march on the whites or let's go march on the coloreds. They're making sure that doesn't happen. These people who are carrying out these attacks are very, very blinkered, and they don't realize how manipulated, how controlled they are being.
The script is the same. The writer of the script is the same. Why do you ask me? Unkupa urna, koncha ngwana, koskolong ka is not South African. Ke munche koskolong, ke fetche ke shebe waka, ke be proud father. After removing a black child from school, when the black children were removed from school with bullets in 1976, when our parents were removed from school because they did not have school fees, I must play that role. Me, I will never do it. I'm not going to take a pregnant woman out of a clinic because she's not South African. She gives birth of an African child at the gate, and that child dies, and you want me to do that and be proud and look at my children and say, I'm a proud father after I stopped life, after I killed someone? I will not do that. I did not join politics to be voted for. I was too young when I joined politics. These positions that I have came as a result of my participation. I am not in politics to be elected.
So I think, see the way Julius Malema is built, I think you are or you aren't like that. And I do think it's ancestral. Okay. Some of you aren't like that, and you never will be. I'm just being frank with you. You never will be. It's not in your blood. It's not in your ancestry. You might even be, some of you might be ancestral traitors. Some of you might be ancestral colluders. But you see, the blood, the vision of Malema, you can't teach that. You can't teach people to have this outlook. You can't teach people to have an innate love and respect for our people. You can't. It's just either there or it isn't. And if you haven't got it, don't beat yourself up about it. It is what it is.
I'm in politics to articulate a position of African people who have been oppressed for too long. We are not saying any Zimbabwean, Nigerian, Ghanaian must bring crime here. The same way no South African must bring crime here. Anyone who brings drugs, South African or Nigerian, must be dealt with according to the laws of South Africa. Not mob justice. Lena le west, one northwest. Le tshwana le rena ko Limpopo. Ha ba qeta ka Zimbabwe, you must know we are next. Because bo butchisha re ntwe ke eng ka seZulu ye. Just talk about hack. So you,
and that's scary. No, I don't understand what he obviously has just said in in his native tongue. But even the premise of knowing that you're next, and I've actually been seeing this play out. So what do I mean? I've seen a video where there's a girl who's on her way to school. I'll show it to you. I think I've got it loaded up here. I'll be kind of progressing through these videos today. But I've seen this video of a girl. Feel free to translate, Tronika. I'd be very much appreciative of that. Thank you very much for the offer. But I've seen a video of a girl who's on her way to school, and she's half Zimbabwean, half Nigerian. Okay, a girl, you know, child. I'm not talking about a big adult. I'm talking about a child, a girl. She's in her teens, and she's mobbed by these people, these same mobs who call themselves a political party. Okay, and they're demanding, where are you from, this, that, and the other, probably getting on her because her phenotype probably is more aligned to her Nigerian half. And she gets on to the point to say, my father's Nigerian, my mother is South African, and I was born here. So she's there, she speaks their language, she's born there, you know, and she's on her way to school, and they're just not satisfied. And then it gets to a point where the guy, you know, this big bald idiot who you guys see with the pot belly, doesn't look after himself. He's like, don't talk to her. She's a foreigner. And you could just see this girl's like spirit break. This is I'm so angry, but obviously there's nothing I can do about it. It's like, what's wrong with these people? And the point that Malema has just made there is that you're next, because the moment you can do that to someone who not only looks like you, but carries your blood, the moment you can do that to another South African, you're done. Then after you manage to do your afrophobia against all of the African migrants, and then they just don't want to come to South Africa anymore because they realize it's too dangerous for all of you South Africans who are cheering it, yay! Do you know what you're going to do? You're not going to stop, because you're a stupid people. Respectfully, you're going to start to move from province to province, and you're going to start to go, well, you're not really South African because you guys are mixed with Indabele, you guys are mixed with Shona, you guys, and then you're going to start persecuting people within your nation who you see as less South African. And then you're going to start moving to the Zulu Natal province, wherever. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, you're not South African because you're Ngunu. And sorry, because you're Xhosa and you're Zulu. And we are the true South Africans. And then you'll start infighting there. And then while you're doing all this fighting like a bunch of stupid, uneducated monkeys, guess who's going to be sitting back just like all the coloreds and all the whites that's going to be sitting down watching you guys fight and take each other out. Okay? You're going to start taking each other out. Just like Tronica just said in Limpopo, okay? They're dark-skinned and indistinguishable from Zimbabweans. They will be next. Do you understand? They'll be next. This is not the behavior or the kind of acts that has a very clean delineation. Okay, it doesn't have it doesn't exist between parentheses with a beautiful period at the end to say, okay, we've done now. It will continue. You've built up the passion, you built up the appetite, you built up the bloodlust, and you're going to move from one to the next. You're going to always continue moving until you erase yourselves like a bunch of morons. And the thing is, you can't see it's happening. And so many South Africans are so proud of what they're doing at the moment. It's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how they don't see what's going on. Shout out to Dreger for coming through with the $2 donation. I appreciate you, brother. He says, how can't they see this is suicidal? I don't know. I wish they could see. I wish they could see. You know? And Wealthy I Am has just said, you know, Limpopo is actually a province from Mapungubwe and Great Zimbabwe. So you can already feel it in the air that will be one of the next places that they attack. Do you understand? They'll keep moving this bar. They will keep shifting the dynamics. They'll keep shifting the goalposts until they consume themselves, because they're not dealing with what the core problem is. It's very sad. It's a really, really sad state of affairs.
You must stop it before it comes to you. Remember, Raba Limpopo were even too dark.
Wow, we just predicted. You guys just predicted what Malema was gonna say. See, this is what happens when you're working on a wavelength, guys. Yeah, this is what happens when you're working on a spiritual wavelength. You can predict what's gonna come next.
They are just going to look at us and say, well, now we don't even have to ask you anything. I coupe. Before it comes to us, let's stop it there and say, let's deal with illegal immigration through the laws of this country. The Minister of Home Affairs is a DA minister, but they never match to the Minister of Home Affairs, who is responsible for illegal immigrants. What?
You hear that? You hear that? They just sit back. They just play Africans like puppeteers. You know, just completely play them. Yeah. The Minister of Home Affairs is a DA. By the way, DA is Democratic Alliance. That's a white party. So the Minister of Home Affairs is a white man. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. Because unlike the self-hating, self-loathing, racially apologist Black Africans, these white people don't compromise. Yeah. So the Minister of Home Affairs is going to be a white man who's in charge of immigration, a white man who's in charge of policing immigration, a white man who's in charge of setting the policies. And has anyone heard from him? It'll be interesting to hear what his thoughts are. It'll be interesting to hear his input. It'll be interesting to hear if he's even chimed in on what's taking place currently, because this is all falls within his jurisdiction. Or is this just all going according to plan, Mr. Burns' fingers? You know, is that what's going on here? Because it feels like that's what's going on here. You know. Shout out to Macy. How you doing, sister? Good to have you here on the King Mono Show channel. So they will find themselves in apartheid again if they keep this up. I agree with you 100%. Well, I think you say in apartheid again, but was it Truth and Reconciliation Committee? I think they never got out of apartheid, and that's all this is highlighting. I think all this is highlighting is the fact that they realize that they're still in apartheid. They're in economic apartheid. They've never exited apartheid. And the only thing that's going to cure the apartheid is ownership. They need ownership of their nation. They don't have ownership. All they get to do is choose every half a decade between which people are going to be leading their nation. That's all they get to do. which people, which none of them clearly are representing them, are going to lead their nation. But they have no ownership. If you don't have economic ownership over your nation, you are not in charge of your nation. So yeah, I totally agree with you there, Macy. They are on a fast track. I want to say back, but they're on a fast track just to nothingness. Because what they're doing here is the most deconstructive thing they could have done. Okay, instead of the most powerful thing they could have done in this situation is unifying with Africa as a corpus. Okay, unifying with thought, unifying with output, just like even Malema was trying to score them on the fact if people who are coming from the outside are in the economic position to set up businesses and become employers, why would you want to chase them out? I made that point in one of my very early videos. Why would you want to chase them out? Because the whites are employing you. The whites who own the economy are employing you. So if it takes foreign investment and foreign settlers and foreign and immigration to set up businesses that are actually going to employ blacks and then start to hand ownership over, let that occur, let that take place. You know, that's what he's trying to give them some game about how these things work.
Why? They are scared of white people. Look at them. When they speak to a white person, they are very respectful. They show manners. When they speak to a black person, they are violent.
It's night and day as well. They're terrified. I would even go to say I don't even see them speaking to white people. The furthest I've got, like I said, is seeing them speaking to Asians, and even them, they are very, oh guys, please respect him. He needs to communicate. We don't want to they all of a sudden they become really understanding. As soon as it's a black guy, listen, I'm getting very I'm very impatient with you. I'm going to slap you, and like they just, God help.
When is that march going to Cape Town? Because a lot of illegal immigrants, white immigrants, are in Cape Town. Let's see them going to Cape Town and asking whites to produce their IDs. The same way here in Northwest, a lot of whites say they own land. If you ask them to produce a title deed, they don't have. They gave each other the land early 90s when they saw that democracy was coming. So many white people are here in South Africa, illegal labor. Now, they must be treated the same way we treat others. But now they are even worse. They've got our land. How now the fast? Not economic freedom.
They got the land, like Julius Malema was saying, they can come over illegally, and whilst they're not doing these small scale, oh, I'm starting a nail salon. Okay, they're probably planning coups. You know, these people are here with good intentions, but they know one thing is for sure and one thing is for certain, that you ain't gonna do nothing about it. On a very, very basic level, like how in God's green earth have the ANC allowed a white man to be Minister of Home Affairs? How are you going to allow a white man to be in charge of immigration policy? Do you understand how, like, unrestrictedly stupid you have to be and unrestrictedly spineless your entire party has to be to allow a white South African to become Minister of Home, of all the roles, Minister of Home Affairs? Are you freaking kidding me? Of all the ministerial roles, You're going to let a white man head up immigration and be in charge of the demographics, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're making a white man be in charge of the demographics of the nation. And then you're wondering why Elon Musk can just freely fly in, fly out, do whatever the heck he wants and not get arrested.
Oshapa le Zimbabwe le Maya, you remain landless. How na le Zimbabwe le nang le lefatshe? Lefatshe le ka mara matso a makgua. How na le Zimbabwe le nang le factory, le nang le mine, le nang le bank. You are fighting all.
Tronica, do your thing. Yeah, you are now the you are now the local translator, so you got some work to do, brother. Get those translations up. Just going, man. I appreciate you, bro.
For useless things, they are distracting you so that you focus on each other while they are stealing our minerals, while they are stealing our land. Fukataki. This is the time you must be more awake. They're distracting you.
On that note, actually, of stealing land, it's interesting because having had that debate with Carl Dojo the other day when we were speaking about Orania, and obviously got a little bit heated. But I was making the point that obviously the ability for the white or the Boers to purchase that piece of land relied on them having material and economic advantage over the local population. So the purchase in itself was validated by apartheid. Okay, doesn't take a genius to know or to understand that. But here's what's more interesting: when that entire project began, they purchased 300 hectares of land for Orania. Okay, and so remember how the argument was, oh, they bought the land, that's why we don't bother them. Okay, they bought the land, and why? And they're not racist because they're just trying to preserve their culture. Okay, when they bought the land, yeah, they purchased 300 hectares. Do you know how large Orania is now? Orania is now 10,000 hectares large. It's now the size of a small city. They've been expanding it and expanding it. Now, bear in mind, this is an Afrikaners only town. So it started off, it's mission creep, isn't it? It's classic growth of a cancer. Okay, it started off being this little small collection of gardens, you might as well go on, and a bit bigger than that. But this relatively small patch of land. And they said, look, we just want to have a preservationist area. And they're just increasing it, and they haven't stopped. They're just continuing to grow this. This is going to end up being a portion. It's going to end up being a large city in South Africa where they've made it Afrikaners only. Okay. And here's what's even more crazy. The same guy who I'm discussing this with is saying, oh, well, we have, if you go to certain provinces, they're very Zulu. And I was like, yeah, that's everywhere in Africa. Of course, people have, their ancestral homelands, but they don't kill or lynch or prevent people of a different ethnicity from visiting. They don't bar them at the gate. They don't that in essence is operating like a state within a state. Okay, that should be totally illegal. That should be entirely illegal. It should be illegal. It should be they need to overrun that place with South African tanks. Okay, and they should be taken from them. Absolutely, because what they're doing is how are they able to get away with that? But this is the thing: when you have a population that is so thoroughly emasculated and just unable to see they're just committing the crimes in broad daylight now. They're not even trying to hide them anymore. Not even trying to hide it anymore. Yeah, that's what is that, a 300? Yeah, or a 30. That's a 30x growth, and it's going to continue to grow, by the way. and these all of these black South Africans who are so happy to kick out black Africans are going to do nothing, absolutely nothing, to prevent the continual growth of this Afrikaners only village.
They say foreigners have taken jobs from you. Go for them. You go there. They take everything. That's what they did during apartheid. When we were supposed to get our freedom, they started a fight between ANC and IFP. Instead of concentrating on fighting for freedom, we got distracted and killed each other. Who took the weapons to KZN? It was apartheid soldiers. Bought a lot of ammunition, took it to KZN. That's why till today, there are a lot of illegal guns in KZN. Those guns were delivered by the apartheid government, arming blacks to fight one another.
And we're all familiar with this. This is an age-old colonial tactic that's always been used. It's an age-old colonial tactic, okay, to find two warring factions. And also do never, ever reduce the, I'm not even going to say possibility, the probability of them also participating in these wars. Because them actually funding these massacres is what they show you. And then they sit back and they record the bits that they want to show you and say, oh, in the news, oh, these people were carried out massacres on these people and it was horrendous. It was a Geno, you know what? Yeah. Oh no, it was so bad. Oh, the Hutu massacre, this, that, and the other. And they sit back and they fund these things. But one of the things that the Iraq War taught me, and those of you who were around in that time will remember this. Well, you may have witnessed it, but you might not have. You might have cast out your memory. Is the number of times, not once, the number of times British and American soldiers were caught dressed up as Iraqis, dressed up as terror, you know what's, yeah, dressed in the full gut and carrying out massacres. It happened many times. So Kieran, you'll remember. Oh, you was there, so you'll know this. And I remember this being reported on the news on multiple occasions, that they were catching these British and American soldiers dressed up, okay, and carrying out heinous war crimes and making it look like it was the other side doing it. So part of me thinks, yes, there's the element where they'll just fund it and they'll just give guns, but I also don't write off the probability of their participation as well. I think they participate in every conflict they fund. I think they participate in every conflict that they fund. I think that would be the modus operandi. That's what would make most sense, rather than just sending guns and money and trusting that what they hope was going to be carried out gets carried out. Shout out to Macy again. Thank you very much for your $2 donation. She says, they make justifications for military action. Absolutely. Any kind of foreign policy, they know the easiest way to drive it is through unrest and insurgencies. It's their playbook is always to destabilize. Their playbook is never to actually truly enforce a complete regime change or complete this, complete that. Their actual end goal is just to have people fighting perpetually. They realized a long time ago that that is the most advantageous position for their own purposes to be drawn forward. And that's exactly what's being funded between the Black South Africans and the other Africans at the moment, or at least the Black South Africans towards other Africans.
Today, they don't give you guns. They put in your mind wrong ideas for you to hate each other, concentrate on one another, while they continue to benefit the minerals of our world. We need to focus, comrades.
Nah, habampatli. Not because I killed anyone. They want to take me to jail for 5 years because they don't want me. Why? Why do they want to take me away? They want to take me away because they are scared of the truth. They don't want the truth. I will talk the truth here. I'll talk the truth in jail. I'll talk the truth in my grave. No one can ever kill my ideas. My ideas are out there. No one can ever arrest my ideas. My ideas are out there.
I would say further than them being scared of the truth that you bring, they're scared of the action that you bring. And I think in you, they see and they recognize a man of action. They recognize a man with the ability to galvanize a population. They recognize a man with a clear vision, and they recognize a man who it doesn't seem like will compromise for them. That's what they recognize, and that's what they are. Of course, they're going to be terrified of that. Of course. Because it's just it might be a 30+ year delay, but what they're seeing in you is the high likelihood of what should have happened at the closing of apartheid in 1994 taking place. Someone who can actually carry out what should have happened on the continent of Africa, in Southern Africa. So I think that's what they're more terrified of than anything.
No white woman can determine my destination. I've got an appointment with the future, and that future is the revolution to liberate the children of Africa. You must not be scared, comrades. You must never allow them to use me to intimidate you. No one must use my name to intimidate you. Continue to fight for the truth. Continue to tell the truth. Do not be shaken by my sentencing, because that's what they want. They want you to be shaken. I'm not shaken. If I was not married with children, I was not going to appeal it. I was going to go there and come back. But as a responsible family man, I might be strong. My wife might not be strong. My children might not be strong. And my jail can destroy them. For them, I shall appeal it until I get my freedom, so that my family is in a better position.
And the unjustness of and I don't think we've even spoken about this here, because I think I had planned to do live streams on the whole kind of like conviction of Malema for firing a gun to the air, and the amount of sentences they gave him is absolutely atrocious. It's when everyone can see in plain sight what's happening. And this is one of the things that I find the most egregious more than anything. It's like, if there's anything that these people should be marching about, if there's anything that should be causing unrest, it should be them taking one of your most revolutionary leaders, placing him in front of a white judge, passing a sentence that is entirely unjust, when he clearly hasn't committed any crimes other than firing a gun in the air. No one was hurt. There was no intention to hurt. Like a custodial sentence for someone like Malema with no previous is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But they wanted to send a message. And it's one of those things where the international community will just watch, the domestic community will just watch, and everyone will just move on and do so. It's like, if Malema, one of your leaders in the public eye, can't get justice in his own nation, and the whites are still handing out sentences to him, to one of the most powerful South Africans there is, they're just throwing him in prison with some ridiculous trumped up charge, and you're okay with that. We don't have any hope. We don't have any hope. Malema going to prison will be a failure for the entire black community across Africa. It will be an indictment on us, on everyone. That's why the black South Africans need to wake up. It will be an indictment on everyone. Okay? It's just like, if anything happens across the Sahelian alliance and any of those nations fall back under the French, imperial oppression, that's a failure. We're done. Do you understand? We're at as Black Africans, I do very much feel like we're at a precipice. Yeah, we're at a turning point. We're at last chance saloon in terms of either moving in one way and acquiring our freedom or tipping the other way. And that's it. It's like Africa is done not only for you, it's done for your kids. It's done. It's done. Like the freedom will be so far out of the picture. We are at such a critical point. It's unbelievable. I really genuinely feel that way.
Fighters, the system is against us. We need to rise now. We need to take over power and change the system. The only way you can do that is to make sure that in your VT, there is a VT coordinator who registers the voters, because you cannot win election without your own voters.
Shout out Malema. Excellent speech. Spitting nothing but bars, you know. Even Tronica, like I don't understand when people be like, I'm not really a fan of Malema, and I'm like, why? Who else is saying anything of any substance or sense in South Africa right now? And that's a genuine question, actually. If you want to show me, if you want to send me someone, yeah, who's, you know, someone who you think is more credible, or at least equally as credible as Malema in terms of his political outlook, in terms of the liberation of Black people in South Africa, please do send it my way, because literally I'm all ears. I'm not just saying that, but I don't think there is. So that's why I do struggle when people turn around, they're like, oh, I'm not really a fan of Malema. I'm like, who are you a fan of then? Who is there to be a fan of? You know, I saw this video today, and this video really struck me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. It's not a big YouTuber, but it just came up in my feed randomly, and it just seemed to resonate with a lot of the sentiment that I'm getting from Black South Africans at the moment. Now, I could be wrong with this, but then even when I went through the comments, it was like, I thought she was going to be getting ripped apart in the comments, to be totally honest with you, when I watched this. And there's nothing but unanimous support. So I want you to watch this and tell me what you think. I'll give you my feedback on it as well. But this is, like I said, not a big YouTuber, and it's not a long video. It's 5 minutes. This woman has only got like 1,000 subscribers. So she's not putting herself out there as an authority. But it's important to note that the voice that she inhabits is one that is clearly reflected amongst the Black South Africans. Okay. Oh, someone's seen her before. Someone says, I hate that when we're about to show. She's only got 1,000 subscribers. Well, here we go. Let's have a look and have a listen to what she says here. So it says, Africans are obsessed with South Africa. Already you can kind of hear the narcissism there that's reflected in certain other groups that I'm not going to go into right now. But let's have a listen.
You're talking to Nomsa, the foreigner in Germany, the foreigner that is respecting other people's countries in their countries and respect the people in their countries. That's how us South Africans behave.
She thinks that's unique. You're talking to a foreigner who's in Germany and respecting Germany. Welcome to 99.9% of all migrants. Okay, it's literally a vast minority of any migrant community that goes to another country and starts causing trouble. You don't deserve any praise for this, and it's not a uniquely South African trait, my dear.
That is why you never know. You will never even see that South Africans are all over the world, because we behave. We are not like you when we go to the country.
I would also disagree with that respectfully. Black South Africans aren't seen all over the world because they don't have large migrant communities, and that's largely to do with the economic status of most Black South Africans. Wouldn't say it's entirely the case, okay, but Black South Africa has the largest wealth gap in the world out of any single economy. The wealth gap is absolutely gargantuan, and it's very much divided on a racial basis. So many Black South Africans are just simply and literally stuck in their nation. Okay, they don't get around, and the reason a lot of people don't see South Africans, like I live in London, okay? If you meet every ethnic group in London, okay? And you can't make the excuse, like no one can make the excuse coming from pretty much any African nation that you wouldn't want to come, like London wouldn't be an improvement from the nation that you were living in. So every single nation produces lots of migrants, okay? Where they go is this, that, and the other. But the bottom line is, if South Africans got around as much as everybody else, there'll be a load of them in London. And the fact of the matter is there just isn't, okay? There isn't a load of South Africans in London, and the South Africans have access. I think South Africa was part of the Commonwealth. It's the same access as all the other UK, whatever you want to call them, nations. Same deal, same kind of access. They don't come, okay? We don't see them. So that's not the reason, you know, that's not the reason. It's not like you come and you're really quiet and you're really respectful, because respectfully, on the handful of occasions I have met Black South Africans in London, they've been troublemakers, but they exclusively start trouble with Black people, Black South Africans. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it with absolutely no form of shame, do things that you'll never see other Black Africans do or any other Black people do, full stop. And I can give you a couple of situations, not even one, I can give you a couple of situations where Black South Africans have just done the most, like, what the hell is going on here? When they've met other Black people. One being my brother-in-law, and I think I've shared that story before about how two Black South Africans just literally tried to set upon him. The train was full of white people. He was with his wife, and they tried to start a fight with him because they hate themselves that much. They start trouble with the Black people, but they leave the white people alone. They don't even look in the direction of white people. Okay, so this is her making that statement about, oh, we're so quiet, we just go to other nations, and that's why we just get it. Like, respectfully, lady, give over. That really is not the case. Okay, get real. Okay, so shout out to Drego for the $2 donation. He says the only people I've met from SA are Europeans. Yeah, whites. The whites are, I mean, the whites fly all over the gaff. That's because they got loads of money. You'll see the white South Africans everywhere. The white South Africans are everywhere. You see them every nation. No one can hold them back. They're everywhere. Okay, the Black ones, not so much, you know. So respectfully, Missy, I don't know what you've been smoking, you know.
We start calling the people xenophobia, racist. Here in German, guys, the Zimbabweans are calling the Germans racist. I had a friend who was like that. She just see a German and call, like she see any mistake, every wrong thing with the Germans. But the question is, why don't she go back home?
Okay, so there. So remember I told you before about one of the things, or one of the reasons that I feel they dislike Zimbabweans. And this statement that she just made there is one of the key things. You see, when people have resigned themselves to being the doormat, to being the boot, to being the lackey of another group of people, the first thing they do to you is they project troublemaking onto you when you don't prostrate yourself in the same way. So you see her default, this Missy here, her default is to doormat herself every time she sees white people. I guarantee you they can talk to her any which way they like. They can deny her access. She'll be like, oh no, it's okay, I'll just go somewhere else. She has got no self-respect. No, she doesn't view herself as an equal. She doesn't. She views herself. Now, her Zimbabwean friend, because of the history of Zimbabwe, because the Zimbabwean people rose up and kicked out their oppressor, Zimbabweans walk around with that swagger. They don't see themselves as beneath white people. They refuse. And she doesn't like that. Now, her Zimbabwean friend is a troublemaker. Oh, she says they're racist. Well, her Zimbabwean friend isn't just randomly saying they're racist. I'm sure things are happening that are racist, and she's just pointing them out. I don't like the way we were just treated there. I expect to get treated better. I'm not spending my money here. Who are those people looking at? I'm not an exhibition, etc., etc. When you grow up, okay, in a certain way, you don't accept being treated different. You don't accept being treated lesser than. If you're like me, you don't accept being treated as anything other than royalty. Okay, that's how I grew up. I can't help it. I was programmed that way. So when I meet people like this, they will look at me as oh, you're such a troublemaker. Oh, you're always causing trouble. Oh, why can't you just let it be? Because you're a doormat. And this, I feel, sits at the crux of the relationship between South Africans and Zimbabweans. I feel like this sits at the crux. You have people who are literally neighboring each other, and one of them just won't have it. One of them sees themselves as this, and the other one, are happy being doormats. And they see you as trouble. They see you as being too mouthy, and probably they view you with a degree of jealousy. And that's exactly what I heard from her just then. Oh, she's always seen them. We South Africans, we just sit there, we're just meek and we're just mild. Yeah, until you see another black person, she's ready to sell her friend out. She's ready to fight her friend, her Zimbabwean friend. She's probably already cut her off. Ready to fight her Zimbabwean friend over white people who don't even like her, look at her, or respect her. There you go. This is a perfect microcosm of the South African, or at least I would say not all of them, the problematic South African at the moment.
But okay, that's beside the point. Let's talk about this. So you guys are doing the same thing that you're saying South Africans must not do it. Because when we do the same thing that you are doing in this video, you call us a xenophobia, you call us racist, you call us hate. So Ugandan, leave those people to stay. No, and they are black too. Leave them, don't chase them. They're illegal, right? Let them stay. Let them use your resources, because that's exactly what us South Africans, we are fighting for. You guys, you are hypocrites. You are so hypocrites. That's not right. I have seen the video of the Ghanaians chasing Nigerians out of the country, but Nigerians are always involved in every.
I don't think there's videos of Ghanaians chasing Nigerians out of the country, but I've obviously heard that there have been protests, certainly, against Nigerians in Ghana. But that history goes back, and like I said before, and I said this to Carl Doja, I don't think it's nowhere near being kind of like a universal experience. It's probably just a few small places and a few instances that have kind of like, contributed to the current circumstance being what it is. And by the way, I'm not trying to minimize it, because if it's happening, it's happening. But I can tell you right now, I have zero fear about getting on a plane and going to Accra, as I will do probably in a couple months' time, as I do twice annually. I'm zero fear. I've got no fear that I'm going to experience any kind of. So this is not some kind of like going to South Africa. I wouldn't do that for all. I just wouldn't do it. And I said that historically, even before this new wave of kind of like xenophobia, and people telling me you should go to South Africa, it's so beautiful. I'm like, I don't want to go there. I don't like the people, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. I don't like the whites at all. Every white South African I've met is a horrible person. Every single one that I've met. And I've met dozens, by the way. When I say dozens, I probably met about 50 intimately, different work environments, this, that, and the other. Every single one of them is a human being I wish I'd rather have not met. Okay, unanimously, they do not know how to conduct themselves. Even the ones that think they're nice and think they're progressive are still racist. Even the progressive ones are still racist. They think that you should be grateful that they're talking to you. So you got the ones that just hate black people and don't want to talk to them, and then you got the ones who will talk to you and they think that you should thank them and be thankful that they're speaking to you, thankful that they see you as a black that's worthy of conversation. Fuck, excuse my French. I'm not that guy, man. I'm not that guy to bring that energy to. So I don't like any of them. That's just across the board. I've met too many of them. I don't like them. And then the black ones, just often I know better. Now I've met a few other black ones that are cool It's not, the thing about the blacks, it's not unanimous, but the point is that the balance of personage in that nation is off for me. I have no interest in going there. It's just, it's too much of a gamble. I'm like, I'm going to meet too many assholes. I'm not interested. That's all there is to it, you know. But yeah, so the Ghana thing is, I think people are latching on to, you know, a small protest that's taken place or whatever. And by the way, Nigeria and Ghana have always had this kind of like little tenuous kind of like, but it's never, other than obviously the Nigeria must go and the Ghana must go, and that back and forth that took place in the 70s and 80s. Other than that, it's never really spilled over into anything else. We have a good relationship now. We have open borders. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. We have visa-free access to one another's countries. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, Nigerians are, I will say this right now, and I'll put my hand up. Nigerian ambition can be very problematic, and oftentimes you need to bring it under control, because Nigerians just do a bit too much when it comes to getting ahead. Okay, and they will exploit legal loopholes. So you do have, you know, Nigerians, when they're coming in mass, they do the popular, you know, you do need controls over the Nigerian population. That's me being totally real as a Nigerian. You do, because they'll come, and if it's just like too easy, you get a situation perhaps like you have in South Africa where they're doing too much. They're involved in too many things they shouldn't be involved in. I know that to be an African trait. That's why I'm not here trying to defend it at all. Just trying to like balance it in the character of what kind of a nation Nigeria is, you know.
Every country problem, all you Nigerians, I think it's high time you guys be an example and start fixing your country. Okay, I have seen the video of the Ghana.
I keep hearing that phrase, be an example, start fixing your country. You guys aren't fixing anything. You're not fixing anything. Your townships still look the same, or maybe a bit worse than they did before. Your slums still look the same. You're sitting, nothing's improving. Stop talking with so much pride about, you're in Germany. She's in Germany right now. And this is the irony. She can't understand the irony of the point that she's making here. She's like, go back home, fix your nation. She's in Germany. And her big boast is, I'm in Germany, I'm behaving myself. So freaking what? Do you think people just get on a plane and just start committing crimes, you moron? You're not in your home nation. You are literally a walking contradiction. You're in a nation that invites immigrants over and doesn't try and chase them out. So you're proof that when you don't chase immigrants out, there is a vast majority of them that will go to that nation and will behave themselves. You are literally living proof of the thing you're trying to critique other Africans from doing. Does she not understand how infinitely stupid her non-point is?
I am killing the Indians. Like this thing that South Africans are fighting for. In the beginning, I thought maybe South Africans are wrong.
Fighting for? Who are you fighting? What she? Let's hear her out.
Because of these people, they're gonna be like, no, we are brothers. Guys, there's nothing painful being South Africans. These people are so obsessed with our country. And the worst part is when they are there, they don't do good. They destroy South Africa.
Do they destroy it more than you? Because what you'd need to do to prove this theory of immigrants coming over and destroying South Africa is you need to do some kind of comparative analysis. So you need to maybe take a fully South African township, show what kind of progress, what kind of economic situation it was in 1994, and how it's progressed where it is now, how much development has been made. Okay, if there's a horizontal line, okay, if there's a horizontal line and has it improved, then there's nothing to declare there. You have no point. If it's gotten worse, then that's actually the reverse of the point you're trying to prove now. The only thing that is going to support your argument is if Black South Africans in the areas that they own, you've seen significant improvement and you're trying to protect that. You're not able to provide that. That's the big problem, okay? You're not able to provide that. So you keep making this claim about people coming to your nation and destroying it, and there's nothing to support it. Actually, there's a bit of data around this as well. I was just doing some very basic high level research. This is nothing to write home about, but just to get some of the numbers to support this. So one of the first things I wanted to look at what the immigrant population of South Africa is. And the immigrant population is about 6%. Okay, about 6%. All right, so it's about 3.9 to 4 million immigrants. Okay, so somewhere between, yeah, I think the figure's around 4 million. Majority from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Lesotho, and Malawi. So the surrounding SADC nations are the biggest contributors. Like I said before, there's not a lot of West African migrants. Okay, there's not a lot when you compare it. Now, here's what's interesting. Okay, if you look at the demographics of the prison population, the prison population that are, in fact, let me give you this one because this one's a bit more detailed. Here we go. Just going back to this. So to give you the headline stat is that you're looking at about 6 to maybe at the cap 10% immigrant population in South Africa. The irony is the prison population is exactly that. Yeah, foreign nationals constitute about 6 to 10% of inmates. So there's no difference between the behavior of the domestic nationals and the behavior of the foreign nationals. There's literally no difference. Those prison statistics suggest that getting rid of all immigrants is you're going to see 0% improvement in the behavior of your population. Okay, 89% of the prison population in South Africa, okay, are South African citizens. And I think only 2% of those are white. So the other 87% of the prison population in South Africa are Black South Africans. 87% Black South Africans in the prison population, 2% white South Africans. Okay. And yet they're kicking up a fuss, committing their afrophobic acts, acting like, oh, the criminals, oh, the Nigerian criminals, oh, the Zimbabwean criminals. And the reality of the situation is the immigrants haven't worsened your criminal population at all. Okay. it's exactly in line with your rate of immigration. It's exactly in line, so it's like, what are we really doing here? It just seems like a bit of a waste of time and a waste of energy. Let's carry on.
South Africans, what can we do? Please, guys, what can we do with this? Guys, comment, tell us. Maybe we should pack our bags and go to their countries, but I think they will follow us too. Hi, guys, I love you. Comment, tell us.
Okay, so, okay, that was short. What did she show in the second half of the video? Actually, let's watch that. In the second half of the video, it's interesting because they're talking about getting rid of, and this is legal detention as well. And I've got no problem with this, getting rid of illegal immigrants in the nation. The thing about it is, I'm going to play it. The thing about it is, no one's calling South Africans xenophobic for conducting legal deportations. No one's got a problem with that. No one's turning around to South Africans saying, don't deport illegal immigrants. No one's turning around saying to them, hey, don't, don't get rid of people who are causing problems the legal way. Okay. Even if South Africa turned around and they completely changed their visa laws tomorrow, they decided to leave the SADC and say everyone needs a visa to get to South Africa. They made it really strict between South Africa and Nigeria. I would not complain, because that's a nation's right to do that. If you've gone away and you've decided this is the best thing for us to do in terms of our relationship, that's how it works. Yeah. Passports, visas, access, reciprocity, these things are complex, and they always have been. Africa has taken a much more open doors policy in recent decades as a result of the African Union. But historically, these things can be reversed and they can be changed around. What people specifically have a problem with is the mob rule. What people have a problem with is people being attacked on the street. What people have a problem with is unemployed bums getting together, forming stupid mobs and like, get out of our country, we are taking over your shop. Like, no one's supporting that shit. You guys need to like sort out. That's what people call xenophobic. That is xenophobic. Okay, that is afrophobic. That's dangerous behavior. That's lawless. That's self-hating, and you're not doing that to the right people. So don't try and mix apples with oranges and say people have got a problem with the fact that you're deporting people that shouldn't be there. No one's got an issue with that. No one's ever had an issue with that.
Like, these people are so hypocrite, Shem. Okay, bye guys.
Acting on credible intelligence enforcement teams from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, specifically from National Citizenship and Immigration Control, apprehended 62 Nigerian nationals in a Jumani district on the 27th April 2026. They are not part of this.
So 62 Nigerian nationals. Where can you see, does he mention the ethnicity of these people behind him?
They are in our facility in Namave, the 62 Nigerians. I want you to note that. The group was found operating illegally, specifically without valid work permits, while engaged in activities that included the operation of a church. These people come under the guise of preaching the gospel and hide behind the other irregular activities. Furthermore, during an intelligence-led operation conducted on the night of April 27th, last night.
Still waiting on the nationality of these lot. He led with the Nigerian nationality as a headline, even though they're not even the ones here. It's completely separate. And he's talking about these lot and everything they've done, and I'm still waiting on the nationalities.
In the area of Ntinda of Kampala, the NCIC officers detained 169 foreign nationals. These ones you are seeing in my background, residing in an apartment complex in Bukoto without valid immigration status. This group, which included 36 women, was operating from a highly restricted, self-contained apartment complex equipped with its own restaurant and internal facilities designed to restrict movement and ensure a total focus on illicit operations. The area where we got these ones had very strict access both to entry and exit. These people were restricted against coming out, and also entry to their complex was very, very, very highly restricted. So the individuals in the Kampala operation include citizens from Pakistani, most of them actually from Pakistani, India, Bangladesh, Ghana, Myanmar, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Malaysia, Nepal, Indonesia, and Thailand.
Thailand, I like that. But yeah, so we get there. We get to the nationalities in the end. But notice how he led with that. It took him to right to the end of the report to get to the nationalities here. And they said they were mostly Pakistani. So you can see the kind of priority in terms of the way things. We caught 62 Nigerians. They're not here, but we got Nigerians. I don't know. I just find that interesting. You know, it's funny because you called the video "Africans are obsessed with South Africa," and I just think that's, I don't know. There's so much. It's given white supremacy, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's given white supremacy, man. I don't know what's going on in South Africa, but actually, on that note of white supremacy, did I want to watch anything from this particular video? This guy here, in fact, yeah, this is Zach McQuasley. He's got a really good channel, by the way. I know I keep plugging him, but I like his channel. I like the way he covers news. But this guy here apparently has legitimate papers, okay? And then you see people getting kicked out of hospital. So I did just want to share some of this footage with you so you can see on the ground some of the things that are taking place.
I will not do that.
Because you got the document. You understand me? You got the document. You understand me? And now I think they are studying here, you are paying for them. Everybody, you are paying for them. You understand me? No, those people, why they could have come in to stop our kids? You understand me? Huh? They could have started to kidnap our kids. You understand me? A document for the kids. That's what you are doing so good.
They require all the paper where you stay, address, bank statement.
You give it the paper, everything.
There's no one, there's not even one person who they can get registered without your document. So they said that they will not pay tax. We are what we pay tax. Yeah, you pay. So I don't care, I don't understand what the problem. And if I ask two people, they said, you come here to register your child and they don't get a place.
So this is them. They've occupied a school. They've kicked out some of the students. The people say they're taxpayers. They paid their tax. They've registered the kids. Imagine that. You've just gone to a nation. You've done everything right. And then these racists, these black racists are coming and kicking your kids out of school. For what purpose? Have they arranged something with the school to have locals take those places? To have local, any of that? No, they haven't, because they're driven by hate. They're not driven by building. They keep talking about we are building our nation, and they're doing nothing of the sort. Absolutely nothing of the sort.
Tell me which paper you can place your child here.
There are people who from 8th grade who are saying they came. They haven't got space for foreign national kids.
And they tell me
They do the same thing. By the hospital, they do the same thing. All over, they do the same thing. They come like that by the school. What the school they don't do them? You understand me? If there's no job problem, they must fight it between them. They can't come in to fight in the foreigner. What the foreigner they do to them? What the foreigner to do to them? To be in South Africa, you need to have in the paper. All of us got the paper. Our kids, before they answer here,
if you know yourself that you're not South African citizen.
So this is now in a hospital. Okay, so some of you probably have seen this before, but this takes place in a hospital, South African hospital.
Please don't try and stand up right now. Are you South African? Because we are going to check everybody. Check them.
And the thing is, these unemployed bums think they're so tough. Like, dude, you don't have a job. You're not someone of authority. And that's where you have to understand, that's where a lot of this comes from. These people, like I said, they've got no opportunity and they've got no upward mobility. So taking their unemployed ass off the sofa for an afternoon and pretending that they're an immigration officer is great fun, but it doesn't legitimize it in any way, shape or form. These people have no authority. They're just bums. This is just like Steve from the pub one day getting, I'm gonna go clean up the hospital. I'm going down to Norfolk Park and I'm gonna get all of the foreigners out. Or if anyone here hasn't got a British passport, get out of here. Like that's what he's doing. This is in effect what he's doing. This is moronic beyond, like, it's unbelievably stupid what he's doing. It's absolutely, he should be arrested. This is the thing. All of these people who have basically put all of this on video, all of this vigilantism is on video. That Patriotic Alliance, and they've got their YouTube channel trying to be the next Sizukutolo. I looked at that, by the way. Shout out Carl for pointing me. I actually went through that. That was a very popular show. It was massive. Okay. And it's clear that they're trying to be the next big show. That's what they're hoping, that their YouTube channel will blow up and then they become a really popular show, watching people get kicked out of their land. They're trying to be that, you know, trying to have a popular show. But all of those people, all they've done is they've documented their crimes. These are crimes. All of these people need to be arrested and thrown in prison because they committed crimes. They've occupied property that doesn't belong to them. They've harassed people. They've gone into public sector spaces and, you know, overrun the authority of the local public servant. They need to go to prison, all of them. And then actually, that's an indictment on South Africa. Until these people are thrown into prison, nothing's gonna, you know, nothing's gonna improve. You know, people are gonna continue to view these people as the coons they are. You know.
You guys are not South African. Go out. Go. Hey, pass. What's Zimbabwe? You
Get a job, my guy. Get a job. They're clapping people out. This unemployed schmo. Get a job, brother.
can't pass on going to the border. Hurry. South African. All these nurses and doctors, they are here for South Africans.
And did you hear that? Like, respectfully, the crowd cheered him after he did that. Any mother, and this is why it becomes perceived to be an endemic problem in the nation, because any mother, anyone with children who has cheered that barbaric behavior, hey, that's a lost nation. That's a lost nation. And that's the thing. I see too much public support for these vigilantes. There's too much of it, which shows that the lack of education in the South African population for them to kind of like cheer this kind of barbarism is, yeah, it's unbelievable. South
Africa, please stand up. Don't try us. What's that? You run past the border again.
I did not join politics.
Yeah, so I just want to show you that. That is hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, hard to watch. That guy is an unemployed bum. Superfin says the justice system won't touch him. Yeah, I don't doubt it, but it's still sad. It's still sad. Let me show you another one, another example. Okay, so this is the South. This is that Victoria Africa lady who thinks we are here building South Africa. You need to go back and build your nations. We are building. This woman don't own a damn thing. She's talking about building. She's never employed anybody in her life. But let's see what she says to the Nigerian guy here. So this is a Nigerian guy who owns essentially this complex. He operates, I think, stores within this complex. Okay, he's the owner. Okay, legal owner, but they've decided he's not South African, so he doesn't deserve it anymore. Look at that lady there. She's a colored. They also have whites amongst them as well. And obviously, I'm not talking about racial separatism. Bear in mind, these are racist acts they're carrying out. Okay, this is where it gets very, very, very unjustifiable and very quickly quite bizarre to behold. Closing him out of his own premises that he has paid rent for. Can you imagine the actual audacity of this act?
And you're not going to enter here. You're not going to enter here. Oh, I have an
So these people who have never owned business, these people who have never paid rent, these people who have never employed, these people who have never done anything to build, to offer commerce, anything, think they can just come and occupy someone who legally operates within the nation. And you hear, like I said, all of these excuses, particularly from I used to be against it, but now I watched 5 episodes of Sisok Tolo and now I'm for it. I am for it. These foreigners, they're not any good. Justify that. Justify the people being kicked out of school. You can't. Why are you the only people on the continent behaving in this way? It's horrendous. Horrendous to behold, honestly. It's absolutely horrendous. Let's go to the next one. Kenyan reaction to South Africa's stand on foreigners. This one I did want to show you, actually. This is quite interesting because this shows you the other side of the coin. And I always like to be a bit balanced, okay, in terms of the outlook, okay? So these are people that support what's happening in SA, and I want to see if you guys can pick out any themes or any particular patterns in the things that they're saying. One of them is actually a Nigerian, and a handful of things I agree with, okay? So it's always good to hear the other side of the story, because it sometimes gives you food for thought, or sometimes just reinforces what you feel you already know about the situation. But let's have a look. Let's have a listen.
When you follow up on that case, exactly what is happening in South Africa, at one time you would agree with the South Africans, because you cannot allow people to come to your country and they dictate to you everything. For example, there's a part there called South Beach in Durban, where Nigerians are so many. When a South African go there, not in a South African, they'll ask him, what are you doing here? And those are the provocations that even if it happens in Kenya here, it will bring the same reprisal effect.
I just wanted to give my opinion on the issues that is going on in South Africa with the Nigerian refugees. I do agree with the other Kenyan brothers, and I wanted to come on here and let our South African brothers know we fully support you guys. We're behind you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. In Kenya, we're actually having the same issues, not to the same degree as South Africa, but if it ever gets to the same degree, hopefully we as Kenyans do handle business like you guys in South Africa. For now in Kenya, we profile these Nigerian refugees, and I gotta praise the Kenyan police because they rough them up pretty good. They even go as far as watching these West African refugees as a whole.
You see that? So that when I hear that kind of like talk, that kind of rhetoric, oh, they do a job of watching these West African refugees as a whole. This guy is just a racist. Yeah, you can already hear it. You hear it when people talk, when people start using that kind of rhetoric, you know that you're dealing with a racist, you know?
That's one thing gotta give praise to. So I wanted to give thanks to the brothers down in South Africa. Don't let these West Africans try to...
Give thanks for what? Don't let these West Africans see this guy. Zero credibility. Zero. The first guy, he had a bit of credibility. He's saying, okay, cool. Like they're setting up their own places and they're asking South Africans, what are you doing here? That would wind anyone the hell up, obviously. But this guy here is just a racist. Got nothing to say.
DNA with the rest of Africa or Bantu people in general. And for the other Bantu countries, if you don't support South Africans.
Bantu people in general? What is he trying to claim, that South Africans aren't Bantu?
They share DNA with the rest of Africa or Bantu.
1 second. Let me go back.
To fool you. They may use talking points like, oh, we are your brothers, when they don't even share DNA with the rest of Africa or Bantu people in general. And for the other Bantu countries.
See, this guy's an idiot. This is the kind of ignorant statements that people make. It's just not even grounded. Probably when he's given some of these forum junkies at the moment, you know, given one of these forum junkies, I wouldn't even be surprised if this guy is not even Kenyan. He's just like some American pretending to be a Kenyan. Honestly, that's what I totally think, because that's how they talk. They talk with all of this, oh, genetics, DNA, lineage. Shut up. You're not from the continent, man. I actually cannot hear that person talk anymore. So let's see, part of me wanted to give him benefit of the doubt and say he could have been an African with an American accent, because that happens a lot. Okay, that happens a lot. But after hearing him talk, I know he's just an idiot.
We'll talk about the clips. Kudos go to the original owners of this video. So let's watch.
Oh, shout out Chat with Ozzy as well. I'm just on your channel, abusing your channel. She's the one who's done the hard work, put these videos together. So if you want to visit Chat with Ozzy and give her a subscription, please feel free to. So the video is called African Countries Applaud South Africa and Ghana for Chasing Nigerians Out of Their Countries. Now, this guy is Nigerian, and he gets a bit repetitive towards the end, but some of what he says is actually quite interesting. So let's just give him a listen.
83, 84, 82, we asked Ghana to leave. Now South Africa is asking us to leave. Very simple. Nigerians complaining about South Africans. They say we should leave their country. They say we are here to take their job. And these people, they don't even love themselves. I keep saying this. You will see an Hausa man. He don't love Igbo man. He don't want to see Igbo man striving in their northern region. The same thing Igbo man don't want to see Hausa man in their eastern region. Europe.
So I think it's a little bit unfair to bring up the Hausa and the Igbo because of their very, very, hostile history and the forced colonial borders which led to the Biafra War. And I just think a little bit kind of like that's not fair. That's not really a fair reflection, because everyone knows that relationship out of all of the Nigerian ones is the most fractious. But outside of that, most of Nigeria's ethnocentrism or tribalism, a lot of it is largely resolved. But obviously we just have that kind of historic issue with the North and the Hausa being slightly more separatist and problematic. But when we get presidents, they tend to spread, but they're largely concentrated in the North, but they tend to spread around. Okay, you always have the occasional kind of like Yoruba that will become a president. Right now we've got a Yoruba president who's awful, but you see the point. So it's just not it's not fair to say that the Hausa and the Igbo. I don't think it's fair, because that's
Obama don't want to see Boma in their western region. These are Nigeria. You don't even love yourself, but you are complaining that other African countries ask you to leave their country. If South Africa said, leave my country, fine. You go back to your country, go and contribute your quota. Go and preach about unity, about love, about prosperity in your country. Leave your country for them. Enough is enough. We are saying that during apartheid, Nigeria hates South Africa. We contribute money, we make riot, we make sure they get their freedom. Now they don't want us to be in their country. But don't forget, in 1982, 83, 84, we equally asked Ghana to leave our country.
So he's getting a bit repetitive here. The history is that it was Ghanaians who kicked out Nigerians first. Nigerians reciprocated with Ghana must go. And now it looks like there's a bit of payback going on. But like I said, that's always been kind of like a bit of a fractious back and forth. Ghana must go was wild. So I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and act like that wasn't a big deal. When it happened, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But like I said, it's not something that I think we're historically proud of. And I think there's kind of like, there was more deep-seated issues that kind of led to that. That was Nigeria and Ghana have very complex, fractious relationships. And it's very interesting because we share a lot of ethnicities along the border. There's Yoruba in Ghana, there's Ewe in Ghana and Nigeria. There's quite a few, there's Edo in Ghana and Nigeria. So there's quite a few ethnicities that cross over in both nations. So it's just, it's weird and it's complex, put it that way.
Country. The popular phrase Ghana must go came from when Nigeria were asking Ghana to leave. The bags they used to pack their belongings. South Africa said, go. If you cannot take the heat, stop complaining.
Also, I would also stress that there's a difference between government policy, like what you saw in Uganda, or what you saw in Zimbabwe, or even what you saw historically between Ghana and Nigeria, and vigilantism. I think that's the one stark difference that I will once again say, that vigilantism is never acceptable, in my opinion. That's what makes this distasteful. Once again, I've got no issue with Ghana changing their immigration laws. With South Africa changing their immigration laws. I have zero issue with it, honestly. If they turned around, they changed their immigration laws and they drew a line and they said, we're not going to take any more, I wouldn't turn around and be like, oh, they're sellers. I'm like, well, that's the choice they've made, isn't it? Like, they're a nation. They have every right to protect their borders. They've decided that now's the time to, it's the attacking. It's the fact that you get these groups of vigilantes who don't have the guts to go out and attack the whites and attack the colors, but have always got energy for the black Africans, always got energy for the black Africans. I think the figure is something around 700 killed in xenophobic attacks over the since the problem started. I think around a couple, about 20 years ago, 700 deaths, and that's not to mention all of the properly disgusting treatment that has been, seen or has been enacted against, African migrants. That's what people have a problem with. It, literally, for me anyway, speaking personally, it's the vigilantism. That's what people, it's disgusting to see. It leaves a horrible taste in your mouth. And it just really just reflects how self-hating the population is, And just to be clear as well, people always bringing this back. Oh, people are obsessed with South. No one's obsessed with South Africa, to be clear. So this be everyone. I can see someone in the chat. Let me explain something. I don't want you to leave with the wrong impression here. No one's obsessed with South Africa. Okay. My only kind of like concern with South Africa is I want to see South Africa prosper. Like, well, I want to see all African nations prosper. The only reason this has become a topic that people are talking about is because people don't like seeing Africans get attacked. Do you understand? Yeah, people don't like seeing Africans get attacked. That's a full stop. No one likes to see that. All right. And it's not just Nigerians that I'm here caping for. I'm equally disgusted when I see you attack someone who's half Nigerian, half South African, or Zimbabwean, or Ghanaian, which was the first video that I showed you. It's disgusting. I don't like to see black people attacking Africans. I don't like to see anyone attacking Africans. So anyone can catch it from me. But if it's going to be black people, they're going to get it twice as hard because you should know better. You absolutely should know better. So it's got absolutely nothing to do with being obsessed. No one gives a shit, respectfully. Okay, you are the part of Africa that didn't get rid of your colonizers. Okay, that's not an obsession. No one's sitting here wishing they were South African, respectfully. Okay, the issue is that you're attacking other people who look like you, just like Malema was saying, and it's disgusting to see. It's actually disgusting, and the whole world agrees by this. The entire black world, diaspora or African, agrees that what they're watching is a despicable thing to see. It's an absolutely despicable thing to see. And Muzianda, you've just given some very wise advice, and I'm going to listen to you and move on.
Now you are complaining that they don't want us, and you are preaching about destruction in your country. You are preaching about segregation, preaching about division in your country. No love. They say you should leave. They are not complaining. Even though the white people take them as slaves in their country, they are not complaining. They say they don't want their fellow Africans. They are very happy to be slaves in their country. All fine and good. If you cannot take the heat, go back to your country.
Do you hear what you just said there? That's the bar when I said it's a fair point. It's the bar that I said before. Okay, listen to what you said here. I think it's key.
They say you should leave. They are not complaining. Even though the white people take them as slaves in their country, they are not complaining. They say they don't want their fellow Africans. They are very happy to be slaves in their country. All fine and good. If you cannot take the heat, go back to your country. It's very simple. Even me, I'm not in Nigeria. I know what I'm passing through every blessed day. I'm bearing it. The ones I cannot handle, I will keep quiet. Because I really understand this is not my country. Yes. If you cannot take the heat, you leave the kitchen. Go back home. Go back to your country.
You know what's really interesting as well? I actually agreed with some of the stuff he said there. And he's lambasting almost exclusively his fellow Nigerians there. So he's not pulling punches. This is the thing about Nigerians. This is what they're like. They don't sit there caping for the nation. They know what they're dealing with here. But here's the thing, yeah. This kind of idea, yeah, that the migrants are in South Africa, and I keep hearing people say you know, the migrants are, you know, leeching off the system, this, that, and the other. First of all, if you're an illegal immigrant, there's nothing to leech. You have no rights, no nothing. You have no rights to anything. Okay? So if you're an illegal immigrant, you can't get monthly support, stimulus, benefits, social security. You're not going to get anything of that. You're literally there and you have to keep yourself and sustain your own uptake. Okay? So the only way that these people can make money is by creating something, hustling, doing some kind of business, buying and selling. Okay, that's not leeching. You can say what you want, but that's not leeching. Leeching is people who actually come in to the nation legally. So we had a lot of leeching in the UK when we opened the borders to the EU. Some EU migrants are incredibly contributory to the EU, to the economy, and some are very subtractive. And I would just say the Eastern European ones in the UK have been incredibly problematic because they come over to the UK legally, okay? They have rights to certain benefits, this, that, and the other, okay? And they don't have to do anything, okay? And that's leeching, okay? When you're actually receiving money, when you're receiving accommodation, and then they'll set up illicit kind of like begging businesses and stuff like that on the side as well. Huge problem in the UK. That's not a problem that you have in South Africa. Okay, you don't have that problem. Okay, these people aren't leeching anything from the system. Okay, they're having to create. They have to create. There's nothing to leech there. Maybe they've left their country to find a better surrounding, or maybe to find some better opportunities, or to maybe take some low-paying job. But someone taking a low-paying job at an exploitative salary is by definition not a leech. Do you understand that? They're by definition not a leech. What they're doing is they're fulfilling a position that really the locals shouldn't be competing for. Local South Africans should not be competing for illegal immigrants for jobs. Okay, because those are the bottom of the rung and they'll likely be incredibly underpaid because a lot of them will probably be taking those jobs because the rand is much stronger in their local currency than their local currency is. So they're looking at that conversion rate as well. Like, even if I take this really crappy job, if I get paid in rand, when I send it back home, it's going to be worth X, Y, and Z. We get a load of that in the UK. Okay, well, people are happy to be paid really bad salaries because that salary, when converted to their salary, when they're converted to their currency, is change. Yes, ka-ching. Local South Africans who actually live in the rand and live in that economy shouldn't be competing for these people for the lowest position jobs. This is the problem. Do you understand? This is the problem. You're competing at the very low end. That means you haven't moved in the right direction as a population. That's one of the biggest problems that they have there, you know? So yeah. Having some fun here, man. I'm not gonna lie. But it's been over 2 hours now, and that normally is a stream that's a little bit too long. I'm trying to see if I've got another video that I want to show you, but I think that will leave you feeling a little bit depressed because it has some details on some of the attacks that have taken place. But I think it's a bit distasteful to go into that now. Okay, I think we should leave on a note that's a little bit more, this is not positive either. This is a really good video though. Sahel Chronicles, check him out. That's 20k subs, really brilliant channel. This guy's a fantastic investigative kind of like, in fact, I'm gonna play some of the Sahel Chronicles video because this is a really good video for us just to kind of like close out on.
On the 30th of March 2026, a march through a South African city called Kugombo turned violence. By nightfall, cars were burning. Nigerian-owned shops had been looted, and according to Nigerian community leaders, at least 24 Nigerians were in hospital. Police put the number lower. The city used to be called East London. It's on the country's southeast coast. If that sentence sounds familiar, it should. According to Xenowatch, a database run by researchers, this is the latest entry in a ledger that stretches back more than 30 years. More than 1,000 documented incidents, almost 700 deaths, and almost every single victim African. So today we're trying to answer one question. Why does this keep happening?
There can be no excuse
for the attacks on the homes and businesses of foreign nationals.
To understand what...
So you heard it there from your president, okay? There's no excuse for that behavior. There's no excuse, guys, yeah?
ignited Kugompo, you have to go back a few weeks. On March the 14th, a Nigerian businessman named Solomon Ogbonna Eziko was installed in a ceremony by the local Igbo community. He was hailed as Igwe Ndigbo na East London. I hope I got that right. The video went viral. For many Nigerians, this is normal. The Igbo have installed ceremonial Igwe figures in diaspora communities around the world, while the businessmen who act as cultural figureheads, not kings in any legal sense. Just
ceremonial figures are very, very common. Ceremonial royalty, ceremonial monarchs. It's something that is just existent. You can literally, at every single microcosmic level, tiny village will have a ceremonial ruler. They don't have any political power. They just have power amongst the communities that honor that tradition. So this should be entirely harmless, in my view.
Just diaspora tradition. But South African law reserves kingship for recognized royal houses, and the Eastern Cape House of Traditional Leaders, whose jurisdiction covers Kugompo, called Eziko's installation a flagrant violation of customary protocols. The Amarambe Kingdom demanded redress.
Now, the community of Mahahabe is demanding Solomon's departure, insisting that his coronation disrespects South Africa's sovereignty and traditional authority.
The Nigerian High Commission issued a statement on the 26th of March saying no coronation had taken place.
I'd be interested to know who's the king of Orania. Wouldn't you be interested to know who's the king of who's the mayor of Orania? Because I guarantee you, Orania has a mayor. Who's the mayor of Orania? Who's the ordained ruler of Orania? Because I guarantee you, no one in Orania is bowing the knee to any any black person. Okay, all 32 square miles of Orania, yeah, 32 square miles. That's like, God, that's got to be getting close to London size. No, it's nowhere near London. Let me have a look. How big is London? That's a good 38 square miles. Sorry, so it's nearly 40 square miles. So let me see, how big is London? Okay, London's much bigger, but it's still not a bad size. It's about 10% the size of London so far. So yeah, it's moving on. It's moving on up, innit? Who's the mayor of Orania? Do you think anybody knows or cares or can do anything about it? No. Well, we're gonna freak out about a tiny little Igbo community. You know? This is the problem. All right, it's late. Well, it's getting late. It's 10:20 over here. Sorry, and I think I've had enough. But yeah, I wanted to share some videos with you. Wanted to share the great Julius Malema speaking on the subject. And I think we've had a good little discussion, guys. So I really appreciate everyone's time. We've had a decent little stream, but it's Sunday night and I'm going to relax for the little time I have left. Actually, I'm not going to relax. I'm going to do some more editing on some videos that I've got coming. But thank you for joining me, guys. I appreciate you. And yeah, we can call it a day, guys. Have a fantastic one. Shout out to my people in the chat, Tronica, Fabrice, Macy, shout out to you. Jenna, Tato, and I think we will. There's too many in the chat. But you know who you are. Those of you who've been holding it up. By the way, I'm going to promote some. I'm going to promote some mods right now. Actually, going to promote some mods. All right. So let's get some mods going. So you guys can help me clean up the chat. Whenever you're here. By the way, it's not a paid role, so there's no pressure. There's no pressure. Or just do what you can. Yeah. Lots of love and appreciation. Where's Dragon? Let's get some more. Did I already make you one? Okay. All right, that's as far up as I can scroll. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you all, especially those of you that donated. And I hope you have a good evening. Take care. Peace.